We live in a world that is starting to get out of the grasp of basic human understanding, and it's no longer cause and effect, right? Like that's the whole point of complex adaptive systems, is that you no longer know that if you do X, it will be Y, right? So these concepts around induction and deductive reasoning no longer apply to the world, right? And I won't get into what abductive reasoning is what product managers do, right? And I think just the thing that I constantly struggle with is like, how do I build something so that that abductive reasoning, that research to understand how these systems work, and how do we do it in a way that allows a regular person to understand these things? I think that gets to really the crux of when we have problems in communicating with people. Like, you look at the last election and kind of the division within the United States. I think part of the problem is that we don't expect that we can understand each other, and we don't want to understand each other. And we don't understand how the world actually is working in the way that it's all of us together, right? And so, I don't know, I really am like, I'm constantly looking for those tools that help us do a better job of explaining the way things are. Now, the problem is, and I'm rereading the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov right now. And so like the idea of like psychohistory, which is a fictitious scientific pursuit, but you know, the thing that they bring up that I think is very interesting, and I think could apply to this, is that anytime, the biggest problem with complex adaptive systems is that anytime that you do something to them and it realizes or it adjusts to what you do, it means that you can't do the same thing again. So that means that if you make, say, estimations about ways something works, if someone knows about that estimation, there's a reason why like stock markets work the way they do, right? Like everybody has a system, and every hedge fund has a system that works for a little while until it doesn't work anymore because everybody's already absorbed the ability to understand that system. My worry is like, we need to understand more to do a better job on these types of problems, but there's also going to be people that push back on those understandings of those problems. Like if you look at the way that like a lot of like trolling and like all the bots and the way that it skewed things like the presidential election, that was basically a reaction to an understanding about the way the election was going to go, right? And so anyways, I don't know, I have like all these thoughts swirling around in my head about this type of stuff, and so it's something that's really interesting to me, and just like, I think that's where the impact of the world is going to be, is how do we do a good job to make the world better by understanding these systems.